All right, welcome to Better Down Ballers. I'm your host, AJ BRAMLETT. Got my super producer with me again this week, Mr. Ryan Wall. And man, a lot going on with Arizona basketball over the last week, man. So let's jump on in.
Right in, AJ. Since we last spoke, Arizona has gone 2-0, but let's start with probably their biggest win of the entire season, or maybe if you want to put it second next to the Creighton win in Maui, but a huge 14-point win, beating number 14 Indiana in Vegas. This was a huge victory for this team. What do you think about this victory, and what do you think it does for this program?
Yeah, I think it was a huge, huge victory for us. And, to be on that national stage, really with the atmosphere that was in the arena, it was like a Final Four game. And so to be on prime time, to have two storied programs like that have never played before, which is that was surprising to me too, that we had never actually played Indiana before in the history of the program. And to come out with such a resounding victory and the way that we did it, the style of basketball that we played, I think it was amazing for us. And then, you don't get a lot of opportunities like that. And for us to show up and show out, especially after, the Utah loss and things like that, I think people kind of forgetting, how we started the season. That was big time for us. What were your thoughts?
A great win. I think just from the beginning, we saw that Arizona is just a more physical, dominant team. It's kind of how I predicted it would go. They just couldn't handle, Tabellus and Ballo. Seems like that's the reoccurring issue with every team. What do you think about them, combining for 36 points, 19 rebounds, 4 blocks? I mean, AJ, can anybody stop this duo right now?
They're the best front court in the nation by far. I mean, if you look across the landscape of college basketball, there's not two guys that do what they do. With Zoo, the way that he runs the floor and puts defense, pressure on defenses, and Umar does too. Don't cut him short of not being able to run. He runs too. They run hard every single time, and I think you see that wear teams down by the end. And then, their high-low passing and the way that they play off of each other is something that you don't see as much anymore now because people aren't playing two bigs together as much, like Tommy is, especially not two bigs with that have the skill that these guys have. So I love it. I'm a big man. I love to see that these guys are holding it down every single game, really dominating, dominating the backboards, dominating on offense, and just playing so well together and facilitating the offense, from a post position. I mean, these guys, as I said, best front court in the nation right now, hands down. And I'll fight anyone who says differently right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. But AJ, a guy that hasn't played great this year, but came on really well in this game and to me was the X factor this game, and that's Pelle Larsson.
Yeah.
16 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 for 9 from the field. Still couldn't get it going from deep, but I think it was just so important that he was finding other ways to impact the game when his 3-point shot wasn't falling. How big do you think that was for the Wildcats?
Well, he's huge. And we talked about this on last week's show that, I thought it was time that he was going to have a breakout game. He still took threes that were open, which he needs to do, and he'll begin to knock them down. We saw him, knock one down, last night against Texas A&M Corpus Christi, which helped. But, he changed his game. He became more aggressive going to the basket. He scored from the free throw line. He scored on back cuts, couple of beautiful back cuts during that game. One from, Kerr hit him for a backdoor layup, and then the one coming out of the ATO, coming out of the timeout, where he went backdoor and got the big dunk. I mean, he's just playing really smart. And, that's the sign of a player that, everyone goes through slumps, and especially shooting the ball. And if you just rely on that can snowball. But it seems like he's broken out of that. And I don't know if that's Tommy, talking to him about those things, or him himself just saying, hey, I can do a lot more things than just shoot a 3-ball. Let me go out there and impact the game in other ways. He did that against Indiana. That was a huge difference. I mean, a huge difference for him. Also, Adama Ball was another one that came off the bench. Those 3 threes that he made, every single one of them were at a time in the game where we needed that. You know what I mean? And he took those shots confidently, knocked them down. If we can get Adama playing like that, Pella playing like that, and then Veesaar is another one. I'm sure you're going to mention him. Henri played amazing. I mean, played really tough, challenged a lot of shots, every shot, rebounded the ball well, scored a little bit. You're going to start seeing him score more and more as he gets more comfortable. But I think the bench is starting to come along like we've talked about, especially in a big time game like that. That gives you confidence that can roll into the rest of the season.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, AJ. Those two young guys, they were great in that game, and they're just finding so many ways to impact the game, and little time. Veesaar only played 12 minutes, while Ball played 13. But it just seems like their impact really is huge for this team because, as we know, these guys, the starters, aren't going to be able to carry the load. Through a long 30+ game season.
Well, and especially with the style of play that we play, I mean, running like that every single time and being the fastest team in the nation, no matter who you are, no matter how conditioned you are, at some point during the season, that's going to take a toll on you for a little while. And so if we can, kind of sub those minutes in with those guys and they can be productive and give us things and not just plug the gap, but actually be able to push leads forward and make us go up on other teams, we're going to be in a really good position. You start to see that with these guys. And even Kylan came in and played well. He didn't score a lot in that game, but handled pressure well, made good passes. And you saw, even we'll talk about this, in the game coming up, from last night, but, you saw him kind of break out on offense too and kind of, say, forget it. I know I can score. Let me shoot confidently instead of just, you saw him kind of being hesitant, for the last few games, but he broke out of that, I think, against Indiana and was able to build on it against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. And so those guys are starting to come around, man. And so if we get those guys that can really round out, the whole team as guys that are being impact players, there's no limit to what we can do this season.
On and after this game against Indiana, Arizona going into the game against the Hoosiers was ranked number 10. They moved up only one spot. Did you think to number 9? Do you think they were going to move up maybe even a little bit more?
They should have, in my opinion, but like Tommy says, nobody cares. I mean, they don't. Do they really care about moving up? What's going to matter is, what kind of seed we're going to get in the NCAA tournament. And that win was a really big resume builder for us for the NCAA tournament and seeding once we get to Selection Sunday. So it was a good win all around. I think other teams are going to fall back. I think if we with the big game that we're going to talk about coming up on Saturday a little bit later, if we're able to have a good showing there, I think we will really rocket up the rankings again. But I just like the way that we're playing now, so early in the season, it was great. Hey, we're number 4 in the country. Great. But I'd rather take that loss to Utah and see us playing how we're playing now than to be undefeated and, top 3 or even 1 in the country right now.
We're only, a little bit over a month into the season. So, the things will play out and Arizona will finish inside that top 5 if all things go right. But as we move on and talk about their next game, they beat Texas A&M Corpus Christi. As we're recording this yesterday on a Tuesday night, they beat them by 18 points. And AJ, once again, the star of the show was Jules Tabellas. He had 20 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals on 9 for 16 shooting. He joined the 1,000-point club for Arizona. And AJ, this was the 4th straight game that Tabellas has scored 20+ points. Is this safe to say that this is his best stretch, as a Wildcat?
Absolutely. I mean, it's coming from the confidence, factor is you're seeing him. He really knows his game and he knows, where he can find angles to score, catch the ball quickly and finish in traffic. He's rebounding a lot better than he has, in previous years, playing defense a lot better than he has in previous years. And he's just within the flow of the offense. He knows his offense is another year, that he's been in it as well. So he's a very, very smart basketball player. His basketball IQ is very high. So, and him and Umar, the way that they play together, they're a force, man. And so Azuolas is making it look not easy, but he's just doing all the right things, and really attacking and being aggressive. It's great to see for him. 1,000-point club is something that's really special. So that was great to see for him to get. And, we hope that he just keeps on building from last year. And I think the end of last year, we've talked about this before, I think the end of last year really motivated him, and that last game motivated him to come back like he is this year and then continue to do that. And he's stronger, he's faster, he's quicker, he's more explosive. And you can see that in his game, and he's just playing great basketball right now. One of the best players in the country by far.
Also, the end of last year kind of, soured people's taste on, Jules Tabellas in the national eye, because a lot of people saw him in those last couple of games. And people don't realize how good of a player he is. And, he truly is one of the best players in the country, no doubt. But, last game, you just talked about the bench production was a little bit better, but this game was their best. The benches looked all season, 51 points from the bench, all led by Henri Veesaar. He had 16 points, 4 rebounds, 5 for 5 from the field, including 2 3-pointers. What more can you say about Henry?
I think we knew this was coming for him, and we talked about it even before the season that he has that, ability to do those things. And it was just going to take him time to adjust to the speed of the game, the physicality of the game, and really get going. And you're starting to see him do that now. And he's really long, man. Like if you watch him play, he doesn't block every shot. He blocks a lot of shots, but he challenges every shot. And, that's a huge, bonus for Arizona. We already have, Zulis and Balo, who are also good rim challengers and shot blockers. Henry gives us another weapon like that. And for him, his offensive game is always, for young guys, usually the last thing to come along for them. And we're starting to see that now because he can shoot the ball. And if he's got confidence in shooting that, if teams leave him open, he's able to knock that down. I really like the way he's battled underneath the boards. In the Indiana game especially, and last night just finding spaces where he can get offensive rebounds, score, and go up strong with the ball. He's got, this is just barely, we're barely scratching the surface of what he's going to be as a player, but he's a key component to what, our run is going to be throughout this season as we go deeper into the NCAA tournament.
Another Wildcat that we, talked about a little bit ago had his best game at Arizona, Kylan Boswell. He played, 26 minutes, an extended run for him because Kerr Kriisa did leave the game in the first 5 minutes due to a non-COVID related illness. Tommy Lloyd said after the game that he hasn't been feeling well the last couple of days. He feels like he's run down. He should be back for Tennessee. But getting back to Kylan, he was just excellent, 8 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. He had 2 threes too. What did you think about his performance and just the level that he continues to grow at?
He's 17 years old, man. You know what I mean? And for him to be doing this, is a great sign for Arizona, not only for this year, but moving forward. He's going to be a triple-double threat, as he matures and gets older and gets more comfortable. But I felt like I saw him, in the second half when he's trying to knock down a couple threes, just change his mindset and be like, you know what, I can do this. Like I'm a player, you know what I mean? I can knock down these shots. He did it, knock down one, knock down another one. And then, as he becomes more confident, he has it all. I mean, he's just learning and adjusting to the college basketball game. But look at all the positions he's been in. He's been in big time games in Maui, been in a big time game in Indiana. And now it's just him kind of coming into his own and figuring out, how his game fits in to high level college basketball, but he's doing it and he plays hard. He makes smart decisions. He's very, very talented as a passer and a scorer, and he's strong enough at 17 years old to be able to handle the physicality of the game. So I think this is a good game for him. We're going to need him definitely, to play this way again against Tennessee, especially if Kerr is a little bit under the weather and not feeling as good as 100%, which may be the case by the end of the week. But Kylan is, we've talked about this, one of my favorite players on the team. I expected a ton out of him, coming into Arizona, and he's just starting to show us what he can do right now.
Arizona made 15 3-pointers in this game. It was their most made 3-pointers in a game since January 16th, 2020. So many guys, we mentioned a couple of them, hit a couple threes. But another guy who had 3 3-pointers and led the team was Cedric Henderson. He was excellent in this game, 4 for 6 from the field also, 11 points, adding 4 rebounds, 3 assists. What do you think Cedric added to this game?
Ced is just a player that every team in the country would want, on their team because he can do it in a variety of ways. If some nights you need him to score 20 points, he can do that. If you need him to score 8 points and get 8 assists and 8 rebounds, he can do that. And he's just a positive, high energy guy. And that's the kind of guys that you want on your team. He just fills the gap kind of, and he's a very good defender as well. So he fills the gap, and he's just a winning player. And I love watching him play. I'm glad that we have him this year. I'm glad that he came to the University of Arizona. I think he also will see big things from him, especially as we get into the Pac-12, crunch time games. And then in the NCAA tournament, he's going to be a key piece for us as well moving forward. But I think Ced's playing, really good basketball right now. What were your thoughts on him?
He was really good. I feel like he's just like he's such a pro,
Yeah.
He's a veteran. He's a great veteran for this team, an older player, and I think he just fits in so well. Every time he comes off the bench, he's ready to play, provides a big spark off the bench, and yeah, I think he's just been excellent this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's just another one he's still learning the system. He's getting better every game. He's also a good passer, can make good reads. And so the more comfortable that he gets within the system, the better he's going to be throughout this year.
Hey, let's move on and talk about something that's not as exciting to talk about, and that's about the situation that's been going on the past 5 years with Arizona, involving Book Richardson and Sean Miller and the program. And, some final penalties have been given out by the ARP. They made a ruling today, and here are some of the things that they established. Sean Miller is not receiving any sanctions, but our former Arizona assistant Book Richardson will get hit with a 10-year show cause sanction, and then former Arizona assistant Mark Phelps will get hit with a 2-year show cause penalty. And here are some of the penalties that Arizona will have. As we know, Arizona already had a self-imposed ban, but they will get an additional $5,000 fine. Their scholarships will be reduced by one in the 2023-2024 season next season, and they also will have a 7-week recruiting communication ban for this season, the 2022-2023 academic year. AJ, what are some of your thoughts about this?
You know what? I'm just glad that this is over. And, I think that, for the last 5 years, the Arizona basketball program and the name has been dragged through the mud, unnecessarily. I think I'm glad that, I think the penalties are minor, for what we were accused of. And, except for, Book Richardson. And I'm going to say this, I think that 10 years is too much for Book because I've known Book for a long time. Yes, he made some mistakes along the way, but 10 years, on additional, we talked about this a little bit earlier. It's already been 5 years. So you're going to put another 10 years onto that sentence. That's 15 years for a guy that, the penalties that he did, I do not think were warranted for that. So I'm going to say that out loud, that I think Book got treated harshly in this one. But for everything else, I think that it's good for the program. I think it's good to just watch that cloud away. Our program right now is in the best position that it could possibly be in with the way that we're playing basketball, the job that Tommy's doing, and the recruiting that we're going to be able to do moving forward in these years. So, this is a good day for Arizona basketball overall. And, I'm sad that it took 5 years for this to happen. I don't know why it took that long for it to happen, but I'm glad that it's just over and we can just focus on getting back to the things that we love, supporting our Wildcats and not worrying about, this stuff hanging over our head anymore.
Totally agree with you on Book. That is a little bit too long for him when, the head coach at the time, Sean Miller, didn't receive any sanctions, no penalties. As we know, he left Arizona 2 years ago. He took a year off of coaching, but like that was based on, himself. He wanted to take the 1 year off and then got a job right away. That doesn't seem right when, Book will have 15 years where he can't coach.
Here's the one thing I want to say about Sean Miller, though, and I'm happy for Sean. I'm happy that he's got a great job at Xavier now. I think that whole situation changed him as a person and as a coach, and it was a positive for him too. Because I've read a big article on him a couple of weeks ago about his mindset and how he was able to refocus on his family and kind of get back to the things that he really loved and people around him and things like that. And so I think that was a positive for him, and he's going to be better for it going forward. And I think he's going to do a hell of a job, and he already is, at Xavier. And I'm just glad for everybody involved, except for Book, that, this thing is done with, and we can just put it behind us, move past it, and, get back to the glory days of Arizona basketball, which I think is exactly where we're headed.
Let's move on, AJ, and talk about some, better news and some great college basketball this weekend. One of the biggest games for Arizona on their schedule. They're looking to revenge their first loss last season, Tommy Lloyd's first loss at Arizona, where number 9 Arizona will host number 6 Tennessee. The Volunteers come to Tucson for a game. It's at 8:30. I thought it was going to be a little bit earlier. At McCall Center, it's a stripe out. This is a huge one. 2 top 10 teams. Arizona looks to, get their fourth ranked opponent victory this season. What do you think about this matchup?
Big time, big time. This is what we want. And the thing that I heard Tommy talk about after the Indiana game was that the Arizona program is never going to shy away from the big time games, big time moments. That's what we want. That's where we want to be. And that's the kind of coach and program that I want. We want to play these matchups. We want to be in prime time. And Tennessee is going to be a battle because we're the number 1 ranked offense in the country. They're the number 1 ranked defense. And so, I think, but the McCall Center and having this opportunity to have this game at home is a big thing for Tucson. And, our fans always show up and show out for those type of games. They're going to be ready on Saturday. And I think that's going to be, really a determining factor for us is having the game at home. And I think the way that we're playing and, the past couple games, I know that we're going to be ready to go in this one. Tennessee is tough. They've been, they've lost some games this year that I'm like, why did they lose them? But they've also won some tough games. And, they're a physical team, which we've struggled with in the past. I thought Indiana, played us pretty physically, and we were able to match that and out physical them, in that game. So it's just another opportunity for us to get a win or, compete against a team that's going to be a high level physical team that we're going to face once we get to the NCAA tournament. And, for the city of, Tucson, it's just going to be a fun stripe out, game. People are going to be hype and I'm all ready for it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is obviously going to be a great game. By the way, this day of college basketball, you could say could be the best of the whole season. There's so many ranked matchups on the day. But yeah, I think this is the best matchup of the day here in Tucson. And I think once again, Arizona's big men are going to overpower and out tough Tennessee. I know that Tommy talked, about Tennessee being tough, but Tommy said we're tough too.
Yep.
And he stressed that, and they were last year. They had a rough game, but I think this year is different. Tennessee, their top 2 big men they play are 6'9" and 6'8". I think it's similar to Indiana. They're going to be playing smaller guys against Jules Tabelis, Umar Ballo. So I think they're going to look for them to get going. But to me, I mean, if Kerr's back at 100%, which they do have 3 days off between these games, I think Arizona should win this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to get the W. I think McHale is going to be rocking. And, it's going to be another opportunity for us, on primetime TV to get another, key victory for us as we go into, Selection Sunday and seeding. So, I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. I agree with you on our inside guys. I mean, there's no one in the country that I wouldn't take, Umar and Zoo against. So, I think we have the advantage there every single night. If we shoot the ball well from 3 and are able to knock down some shots, I think we're going to be in really good shape.
Any other final thoughts on this Tennessee game before we get into our guest?
No, I think, I would just like to, say that Arizona basketball is just fun to watch right now. I think everything around the program is buzzing. I think that, it's just that we play a fun style of basketball. Our fans are the best in the country. And, this Tennessee game is just going to be another opportunity for us to show that. And, I'm excited for our guests coming up here too. All right, up next on Bear Down Ballers, we're going to have a freshman sensation, big man that's really coming on, playing good basketball right now, and is going to be a key to Arizona's success as they move forward in the Pac-12 and the NCAA tournament. The Estonian big man, Henri Veesaar, joins us next on Bear Down Ballers. All right, welcome to Bear Down Ballers. We're welcoming in today a guy that's had a huge impact on the Arizona program so far. Expect big things from him as he moves along in his career, but is playing great basketball right now. Mr. Henri Veesaar, how you doing today, my man?
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here.
Good. I appreciate you taking the time today. I know you're busy with finals and practice and everything, so appreciate you taking the time to come in to Bear Down Ballers. We're going to hop right in. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about your upbringing and when you started playing basketball. I know you're from Estonia. I played basketball for 2 years in Latvia, so spent some time in the Baltics. Loved my time there. I played for ASK Riga back in the day. Probably you were a young kid, so played in the Baltic League as well. So there's a lot of hoopers over there. Can you talk about just your time kind of growing up over there and what it was like coming up in Estonian basketball scene as a kid?
I mean, I started with Dentist Basketball Academy. My coach was Rauno Beck and Tardeno. I think they had a huge impact on us, like how I play and how I see. They always said also like school, like you gotta have everything outside of basketball in order to be able to play good on the field. Like just so nothing outside of basketball will really impact you on the court, so you can give maximum there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I'm sure that's translated to your time in Arizona already. It's kind of the same thing as having good coaching and growing up like that. Where did your love of basketball come from? Did your dad teach you, or parents, or where did you first learn how to play? And when did you first start playing?
I would say, yeah, my dad. He definitely always loved basketball. It was. He played it a little bit when he was younger as well. But whenever there was any game, he was always on the TV. So since I can remember, there was always basketball games. My dad was screaming at the TV, looking at the games, very emotional. So I picked it up quickly from him.
Nice. Do you remember who was your dad's favorite player growing up? Was there someone that he followed in the NBA or in Estonia that he followed growing up?
Ooh, ooh, disconnected. I'm pretty sure, or something popped up. Is it still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you
I'll
hear
give
me?
it a little bit. Problem with
Okay,
it.
sorry about that. Yeah, was there a favorite player that your dad followed growing up, or you remember watching on TV as a kid with your dad?
Uh, I can't tell about when he was a kid, but I know
Yeah,
he always loved Jan Kunas. He's a Lithuanian basketball player. He really
yeah,
loved the way he played.
yeah. He was a tough player, man. Really, really
Yeah.
good player. So yeah, after you had your time in Estonia, I know you went to and played for Real Madrid. I also played in Spain, man, 7 years in the ACB. So played many games against Real Madrid, and I know that it's a legendary program worldwide. As far as basketball goes, how was your time there in Madrid, and how did it help you kind of prepare for your time now at Arizona?
Oh, I went there when I was 15, so I had to learn how to do things by myself. And definitely like being in academy is like similar to coming to the college because we had every like best players on our age at each position, being older than you, being younger than you. Every day it was kind of like a fight for your position, your minutes. So it's like kind of relates to college basketball. I think that's where like international kids have a little bit of advantage compared to high schoolers because high schoolers like they're the oldest always,
Yeah.
like not oldest, but high school. I think regarding to their like teams, it might be a little bit easier because we just like we got kids coming in from Africa, coming in from everywhere, like all around Europe. So it's everybody's picked up not from this area.
Yeah, absolutely. Real Madrid, you got the best players in the world, all around the world, coming to play there. So I'm sure it helped you a lot in your development. Did you have a favorite food when you were in Spain?
Favorite food?
Yep.
Uh, I would say there's steaks definitely. I
Yeah.
used to not like steaks before I went to Spain, but since I went to Spain, I always love them. Anywhere I can go, I will pick a steak.
Did you ever used to eat it when they had the hot stone and they come out and put the little pieces of steak on there? That was that
Yeah,
was my favorite
definitely.
thing right there, man.
That's amazing. You
Those were
can control
amazing.
yourself how you cook it.
Yeah, exactly. You cook it on your own however you want. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I miss those days, man.
a
So
medium rare steak is always good.
there you go. There you go. I see you. So, you're really coming into your own now, and the last game against Texas A&M Corpus Christi, I think was your biggest. Obviously your biggest game offensively, and knocked down a lot of shots and things like that. And you know what? You kind of remind me of when I was at Arizona. I had two big guys ahead of me, Joseph Blair and Ben Davis, who are legends at Arizona, that were NBA guys and EuroLeague guys after that I banged against my freshman year, and it really helped me improve. Is that something that has happened for you with Zoo and Bob and Umar, matching up with those guys every day in practice since the summer?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the reasons I picked Arizona because I saw there's like great players for me every day to practice off. I can it's like such a big help for me to see Zoo always what he's doing, what Omar is doing, and definitely like they always like try to teach you. They don't take you as competition. They're more like, oh, we need you to help us. Like take these little details, do this, stand a little bit this way is easier gonna be for you to push them. Like it's perfect. Like it's amazing for me.
Yeah, and I've seen. I mean, I was at in Tucson this summer, and watched you a little bit, and then to see the growth that you've had so far has been amazing, man. And just keep it rolling. You're doing a great job so far. So, and another thing I just wanted to ask you about was kind of your relationship with Tommy and how he's challenged you and has helped you so far since you've gotten to Tucson from the summer when you got here to where you are right now in your relationship with Tommy.
Oh, I think our relationship is pretty good. We both understand what we were trying to do here, and he's a little bit hard on me, but I can understand because he's trying to push me and he sees like that he wants me to improve. So I think we're doing good.
That's good. Yeah, I really love how the way that he's running the program right now. I thought you played really well also in the big time matchup against Indiana in Las Vegas last weekend. Had you played in a game with that kind of atmosphere and up until that point in your career, is that something that you were used to, or was the energy in the arena and the loud crowd something that was new to you?
Yeah, definitely. Like the energy in the crowd was only place. Like of course in McHale when we have games, we have the same type of energy. But I think when we went up there was a lot of Indiana fans too. So it was like a new experience where there was like that much like energy towards you, against you. It felt great.
Yeah, you guys handled it really well, man. It was fun to watch. As an alumni, I was proud. We were going crazy, man. So, one of the things that I've noticed about this team that I think is really special and that's going to help you guys go a long way is your chemistry together on the court and probably off the court. Can you talk a little bit about just the chemistry of the team and you with your teammates?
Oh, I would say we are like since day one, since my first day here, it's been everybody trying to help me wherever I do. And when we have new guys coming in or somebody needs anything with anything, there's always somebody helping you. If somebody, like for example, I don't have a car, so whenever I need a ride, somebody's always like I can text anybody, like in a group chat, somebody's gonna pick me up, help me. It's like just off the court, I feel like we're really connected, and that helps us on the court.
Yeah, that's good, man. That reminds me of being a freshman too. Jason Terry and I didn't have a car either. We had a gold scooter that old Teddy Bruschi gave us back in the day that we used to ride around on, which was terrible, man. So I remember those days. All right, so let me ask you this: pre-game, you're getting ready for the game. What kind of music are you listening to get you hyped for the game right now?
Oh, ooh. I would say lately, the last 3 games, it has been more UK rap.
Okay. All right, who's that? So talk to me about that. Who you got?
Uh, Central C, definitely. Dave is one of the rappers I really like. And then also Spanish music, some Spanish party songs that I picked up from being there. Really like helps me to get going.
Excellent, man. I like that. I like that. So let me ask you a couple more questions. I'll let you get out of there. Is there a current player or players in the NBA that you try to model your game after or follow their games and try to take things from them? Who would you like look at and try to take things that'll help you when you get to the next level?
I have for the last 3-4 years I've been looking at Cat always, how he plays.
Yep.
He's my favorite player. And I think he's a little bit I'm trying to be similar to him, like be a stretch five, do a little bit of everything. And then of course looking at Jokic is like, but he's something that's not like that much teaching. It's just his talent, how he's such a passer with everything, like how he looks on the court, like how he looks the court, passes, like moves around. That's incredible.
Yeah, two good ones, man. I can see that fitting into your game for sure. So, all right, last thing. What's your favorite restaurant? Do you have a favorite restaurant yet in Tucson? And have you been able to find any Estonian food restaurants in Tucson that you can go to?
I haven't been able to find Estonian food yet. I have to ask Curry. Maybe he has. A favorite restaurant in Tucson? Culinary Dropout. I really like the Korean steak. That's really good.
Yes, sir. That's a good one. Good one. Good one. Well, you know what? I'm going to let you go, man. I know you got a lot to do today. I appreciate you coming in to Bearlawn Ballers for a little bit. I'll be over there later on the season to check you out. Keep working hard, man, doing your thing. I love the improvement. Love watching you play. And you're going to be a big key to success moving forward this year. So appreciate you coming in to Bearlawn Ballers. And, keep doing what you're doing, my man.
Good. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, Henry.